Dairy Business Update, we're pleased to welcome Barb O'Brien, the CEO of Dairy Management, Inc., the National Dairy Checkoff Organization. Last October, she was named to her position as only the second head of DMI, succeeding well-known and long-term Tom Gallagher. Barb, thanks for speaking with us today.
Good morning, Joel, and thank you so much for having me today.
In your new role, while you've had a long career with DMI, but in your new role as the CEO, I know that you've attended industry meetings and you've been conducting listening sessions throughout the industry with producer leaders and dairy organizations. What are your impressions? What did you find to be the state of DMI?
What a great question, and I have been on a listening tour. You know, Joel, I'll say there were one or two major first steps that were very important in terms of my taking on this new role as CEO. You know, first I needed to focus internally and provide stability to the staff. As you said, Tom was a long time CEO, and you can't underestimate that transition, that shift, that change on the staff as a whole. And then second, I knew I needed to listen to our farmer owners far and wide, you know, across the country, as well as to industry leaders and partners. So it has been a listening tour of sorts. I've talked to, you know, upwards of 100 farmers in meetings and through one-on-one interviews, you know, to understand their perceptions and their concerns about the Dairy Research and Promotion Program, to get their views on the state of the industry, and to hear their ideas and their input on what's next for checkoff. You know, Joel, the farmers in particular, whether they sat on national or local boards or were a little further out and a little less connected to the checkoff program, you know, their willingness to talk to me, number one, and to give positive and constructive input was amazing to me. You know, what I heard, not surprisingly, exports are critical. You know, keep a focus on that export business, marketing and market access, and let's ensure we continue to grow product opportunities across the world. Research and development, R&D, specifically in the health and wellness arena. You know, we've seen through the pandemic how consumers' needs are changing. We've got to stay on top and continue to lead in that area. Sustainability, another really important area. And farmers specifically want clarity. They want us to be more specific about what we're asking them to do, how they're going to do it, the tools and resources that are available to support farmers in continuing to drive, you know, positive impacts on their farms. They feel good about the work we're doing with youth. We've got a good pulse on this next generation, Gen Z, and want to see us continue to include farm stewardship and stories of their work in curriculum and in our programming. And the last thing I'll mention then, Joel, is farmer succession on our boards. That was another area that numerous farmers mentioned, talked about how important it is that we have next generation farmer representation on our global, our national, and our local boards, just to keep the programs relevant and to keep farmers connected to the checkoff overall.
Well, those findings may guide your priorities, but I know that you've also been doing lots of preparation. So what do you see as your priorities building on that feedback?
That's a perfect bridge, because those interviews were a critical input to what I've now laid out as my preliminary thoughts and ideas for building a next chapter for the checkoff. You know, and as you've heard me say, Joel, achieving greater synergies and efficiencies across the whole family of checkoff companies. As you know, there are a number of checkoff founded, funded, and affiliated companies, including US DEC and the Innovation Center and Gen Youth and Global Dairy Platform. So the real opportunity is to manage the whole of that organization. And while each organization brings its unique mission, and ability to affect trust and sales, we are stronger, smarter, and ultimately will have greater impact when the whole of the organization is working together. So as you said, I have communicated with farmers and others my list of priority areas. And I've hosted with staff, leaders from DMI, the states and regions, and from USDEC, a series of strategic sprints. Again, not changing our mission. We're focused on growing trust and sales, but importantly, looking at how we can have a greater impact on farmers' behalf. So let me get to the priorities. There are 5. First is about people. It's about culture, and our commitment to build a culture that attracts, develops, and empowers future-ready talent. It is so critical. Most businesses are talking about the challenge of bringing next generation talent to the table. That is our opportunity and the way we're going to keep the checkoff programs vibrant and relevant in the future. The second priority is to discover and scale immediate, emerging, and pioneering environmental practices and technologies. We know how important this is to the consumer and the end marketplace. And importantly, we have got to ensure that these opportunities are adopted broadly and are economically viable for farmers. Number 3, to deliver breakthrough science and innovation that ultimately redefines U.S. dairy's wellness and product leadership. The National Dairy Council, as you know, Joel, is a legacy leader in this area. It's time to reassert our role as U.S. dairy and dairy's role overall as superior in nutrition and modern wellness. The 4th area is to renew dairy's image and relevance to build trust and grow incremental and sustainable sales. We believe that we can renew the belief in dairy in the future. That's ultimately about redefining our purpose or defining our purpose and relevance in people's lives. And then finally, the last area, and I've mentioned this, is to build our reputation internationally and to continue to grow U.S. dairy as the brand of choice for customers and consumers in key markets around the world. That is the 5th priority. Again, know how important that is to growth for U.S. dairy overall.
Perhaps every organization in today's economy is dealing with change, and that's certainly the case in dairy, whether it's caused by consumer preferences or technologies, even the continuing impact of the COVID pandemic. As a dairy leader, how do you see yourself helping producers and your organization respond to change?
$1 million question, Joel. Thank you for that. And I think we can all say change is constant. And it is certainly something that farmers understand and deal with every day in their own operations. The need to be nimble, the need to respond to unexpected circumstances that they face within their own operations. My commitment to the farmers is to ensure that they understand and support what we do with greater transparency and greater accountability. We want them to know the programs and to own these programs completely. So we are sharing what we know, our insights, real-time learnings, as we continue to deal with, as you said, with the uncertainties tied to the pandemic. I feel like every week there's a new component to the pandemic, to markets, to our challenges, distribution, channel, shipping, port disruptions, continued challenges in getting our products to market. On the positive side, the exponential breakthroughs that we're now seeing in science and technology. We're accomplishing things in weeks that used to take years. And importantly, the increased demands, the competitive threats, and the consumer preferences, as you said. They are changing week by week, day by day, as we're all dealing with this evolving market and changing circumstance. You know, what isn't changing is our mission. Our mission is clear: to increase trust and drive incremental and sustainable sales of dairy and dairy products. And, you know, there's a farmer in the Southeast who has always said to me, Barb, we need to remain strategically patient, strategically consistent, and we are. What is changing and evolving is the how we deliver that mission, Joel. We are urgent in our tactical execution as we adapt to this constantly changing environment, both here and around the world.
Well, Barb O'Brien, we thank you very much for taking time to be with us here at Dairy Business Update. We're speaking today with Barb O'Brien, who's the fairly recently designated CEO of Dairy Management, Inc. Barb, thanks for being with us at Dairy Business Update.
Thank you so much, Joel. Happy New Year to you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much. And this is Joel Hastings speaking for Dairy Business Update at dairybusiness.com.